Welcome to the Sleepy Christian. Tonight, we'll be talking about forgiveness and letting go. If your heart is heavy, if someone has hurt you, or if you've been carrying a burden that's hard to release, this story is for you. Let your body relax. Let your thoughts grow quiet. As we journey through this peaceful night together, we'll explore what it means to forgive, gently, with grace, and how letting go might be the most freeing thing of all. Have you ever noticed how certain memories don't fade, no matter how many years pass? A glance, a word, a moment, you remember it all too well. It lingers like a shadow in the corners of your heart, showing up when you least expect it. Sometimes it visits you in the quiet hours, just as your head hits the pillow, when everything is supposed to be peaceful, and yet your soul feels restless. This is the weight we carry. And often, it's not visible to anyone else. You smile, you show up, you function, but inside, there's a heaviness, a quiet ache that never really leaves. Maybe it came from betrayal. Maybe it was the way someone left without saying goodbye. Maybe it was words that cut deeper than they should have. Or maybe it's guilt over something you did or didn't do. Whatever it is, it has settled into your soul, like a stone at the bottom of a deep, still lake. Sometimes we carry these weights because we don't know how to put them down. Other times, we hold them close because we think letting go means giving up our right to feel hurt, or to be understood, or to have justice. But friend, you weren't created to carry all of this alone. There is one who sees you, one who understands, one who walked through the deepest sorrows and still chose to love. God doesn't look at your pain with indifference. He draws near to the brokenhearted, not to rush them, but to hold them. And in that holding, something quiet begins to happen. The weight, once buried so deep, starts to rise to the surface. Not so it can torment you, but so it can be released, so it can be placed in hands far stronger than yours. Forgiveness often begins not with a decision, but with awareness. Awareness that this burden is real, that it has shaped you, that you are tired, and that maybe, just maybe, there's a gentler way forward. You might not know how to take that step yet. That's okay. Sometimes, just being willing to see the burden for what it is the first act of surrender. Sometimes just whispering, "Lord, this is heavy," is enough. And here's something sacred to remember. You are not weak for feeling this way. You are not less spiritual, or less faithful, or less strong. Jesus himself wept. He groaned in sorrow. He felt the sting of rejection. He carried the cross not just on his back, but in his heart. He knows what it is to feel the weight of grief, the ache of betrayal, the loneliness of being misunderstood. And yet, he invites you not to deny your pain, but to bring it to him, to lay it down, again and again, if needed. Because forgiveness is not a one-time act, it's often a journey. And the first part of that journey is honesty. So tonight, as you lay here, just breathe. Let your heart speak what it's been too tired to say. Let God meet you in that place. Don't rush. Don't force it. Just rest in this truth. You are held. You are loved. And slowly, gently, this weight you carry can be lifted. One breath, one prayer, one moment at a time. Forgiveness seems impossible until we look at the cross. Think about that moment. The world darkened, the earth trembled, and there, suspended between heaven and earth, was Jesus, bleeding, bruised, beaten. The very people he came to save mocked him, spit at him, nailed him to wood as if he were worthless. And yet, from that place of unspeakable pain, he said the words that still echo through time. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." No retaliation, no rage, just mercy. Radical, undeserved mercy. That moment changed everything, not only because it saved us, but because it showed us what love really looks like when it's tested by the worst humanity has to offer. Jesus could have called down angels. He could have turned his pain into wrath, but instead, he turned it into a prayer. That prayer was not weakness, it was power. The kind of power that silences shame, breaks generational chains, and invites even the most broken soul into grace. Forgiveness in that moment wasn't just a theological concept. It was personal. It was embodied. It was raw. It meant letting go of what he could have demanded and offering what none of us deserved. And that's the heart of forgiveness. It's not pretending the wound doesn't exist. It's not condoning the wrong. It's acknowledging it fully and still choosing to love in spite of it. That's what Jesus did. That's what he invites us into. But here's the thing. Jesus never said it would be easy. He never said it wouldn't hurt. He just showed us it's possible. And in showing us, he gave us a gift, the reminder that we don't have to find the strength within ourselves. Because if forgiveness had to come purely from our own will, it would crumble under the weight of our pain. But when it flows from him, when it begins in the heart of God, it becomes something supernatural. Something that transforms not only the person who receives it, but the one who gives it. When you feel like you can't forgive, you're not failing. You're human. Jesus knows that. That's why he doesn't ask you to do it alone. He asks you to come to him, to sit at the foot of the cross, and let your heart remember what was done for you, because you've been forgiven more than you know, not because you earned it, but because he loves you too much to let your sins define you. That same love is now alive in you, and from that love, forgiveness can grow. Maybe someone hurt you so deeply that even hearing their name makes your chest tighten. Maybe the wound is still fresh, or maybe it's been buried so long it turned into bitterness. You've tried to move on, but the pain always finds its way back. Jesus understands that. He knows what it feels like to be betrayed by a friend, to be abandoned in his time of need, to be wrongly accused and sentenced. He doesn't ask you to minimize your pain. He simply asks you to place it in his hands, to let him hold it, shape it, and little by little, redeem it. There is power in that kind of surrender. Not the power the world chases, not domination or control, but the quiet, holy power of peace. The kind of peace that lets you sleep again. The kind of peace that frees your heart from replaying the past. The kind of peace that says, even though they don't deserve it, I choose to forgive, not for their sake, but for yours. For your freedom, for your healing. When Jesus said, forgive them, he wasn't just speaking to the crowd below. He was speaking to you. He was showing you that no darkness is too deep for grace, that no hurt is beyond the reach of redemption. And tonight, that same voice whispers to your heart, reminding you that mercy is stronger than memory, that love can do what time cannot, and that when you choose to forgive, even through tears, you are walking in the footsteps of Christ himself, and those footsteps always lead to resurrection, always. We think we're protecting ourselves by holding on to the anger, the resentment, the sense of injustice. It feels like a shield, like if we let it go, the pain wins, or the person who hurt us gets away with it. But what we don't always see is that over time, the shield we built becomes a prison, and we're the ones locked inside. The bitterness seeps into everything. It colors the way we see others, the way we interpret love, the way we carry ourselves. We smile on the outside, but inside, we're still replaying the same conversation, still reliving the moment it all went wrong, still waiting for an apology that may never come. And the worst part? We're so used to the weight, we forget what it feels like to live without it. There's a quiet cost to unforgiveness, one that doesn't always show up dramatically, but silently weaves itself into the everyday. It shows up when trust becomes hard, even with people who've never hurt us. It shows up when we become defensive, closed off, afraid of vulnerability. It shows up in sleepless nights, in short tempers, in the constant tension between who we want to be and the weight we still carry. And all the while, God gently calls to us, not with condemnation, but with compassion, because he doesn't want you to be stuck in that place. He sees the hidden cost, the exhaustion, the way it's wearing down your spirit, and he knows there's a better way. You see, unforgiveness tells us we're in control, that by remembering the hurt, we're holding the other person accountable. But the truth is, the only person we're chaining down is ourselves. The other person might not even know how deeply they've hurt us, or maybe they do and simply don't care. Either way, their freedom or guilt has nothing to do with your peace. God doesn't ask you to forgive so the other person can sleep better at night. He asks you to forgive so you can breathe again, so your heart can soften again, so your soul can find rest again. When we carry offense, we often carry it in layers. There's the obvious pain, yes, but beneath it, there's disappointment, there's broken expectations, there's grief over what should have been. Forgiveness is the key to peeling back those layers, not all at once, but gently, patiently, with the help of the Holy Spirit. He doesn't rush you. He doesn't shame you for struggling. He simply invites you to begin, to look at the chains you've grown used to, and consider what life could be like without them. Imagine waking up and not feeling that tightness in your chest. Imagine not rehearsing your defenses every time you think about them. Imagine not letting one person's actions determine how you show up in the world. That kind of freedom isn't naive, it's courageous, because forgiveness is one of the most powerful acts of spiritual warfare there is. It breaks cycles, it disarms darkness, it brings heaven closer, and it reminds your soul that your identity is not rooted in being wronged, but in being redeemed. And yes, there will be times when forgiveness feels like weakness, like you're letting them win, but in the kingdom of God, the one who forgives is never the weak one. The one who forgives is the one who trusts God enough to hand him the final word. It's not about erasing justice, it's about surrendering it into the hands of a just and loving Father, who sees all and forgets nothing. Who knows how to balance grace with truth? Who knows how to heal in ways we never could? So tonight, if you've been holding on, ask yourself, what has it cost me? What joy, what peace, what lightness have I lost in the name of holding on? And then, ask God to help you begin the work of release. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to feel ready. But you can start by saying, Lord, I don't want to carry this anymore. Just that one sentence can shift something. And as you breathe in His peace and breathe out the pain, know this: God is not just watching you forgive, He is walking with you through it. And on the other side of this release, there is a lightness waiting for you, a joy, a freedom, a deep, soul-level exhale, one you've waited far too long for. Forgiveness is not forgetting. That's one of the greatest misunderstandings that keeps people trapped in guilt, confusion, or silence. Somewhere along the way, we started believing that if we truly forgave someone, we would no longer remember the pain, that if the wound still stings when we think of it, we must not have let it go yet. But that's not how healing works. Forgiveness is not the erasing of memory. It's not pretending the betrayal never happened. It's not rewriting the past to make it more palatable. Forgiveness is choosing not to be chained to that memory anymore. It's deciding that the wound may still exist, but it will no longer control your future. You don't need to forget in order to forgive. You just need to release your right to revenge. There's a part of you that remembers because it mattered. You were hurt because it mattered. You felt the pain because your heart was designed to love deeply, to trust, to hope. And when that trust was broken, your soul responded. That memory, yes, it lingers, but its presence doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. The goal is not to erase it. The goal is to strip it of its power, to transform it from a source of bitterness into a place of surrender. To say, yes, I remember what happened, but I no longer carry it like a weapon. I no longer let it build walls between me and joy. I no longer let it dictate how I love, how I believe, how I live. God never asked you to forget. In fact, Scripture is full of people who remembered their pain. Joseph remembered the betrayal of his brothers. David remembered the betrayals that drove him into the wilderness. Even Jesus, resurrected and glorified, still bore the scars on his hands and feet. The marks didn't disappear. They became part of the story, a story not of defeat, but of redemption. That's what forgiveness does. It turns scars into testimony. It doesn't deny the wound. It says, this didn't destroy me. It says, this no longer has authority over me. You're allowed to remember. You're allowed to acknowledge the pain. Forgiveness doesn't ask you to invalidate your experience. It asks you to place it in God's hands, again and again if needed, until the sharp edges soften. until the memory becomes a reminder of God's faithfulness instead of a trigger for your pain. That might take time. It might take layers. That's okay. There's no finish line to grace. It works in you like water over stone, steady, patient, gentle. Sometimes, people confuse forgiveness with reconciliation, too, but those are two different things. Forgiveness is something you can do alone, quietly, in prayer, between you and God. It's the internal release of resentment. Reconciliation, on the other hand, involves both people, and it requires trust, safety, and repentance. Forgiveness is always required. Reconciliation is not. You can forgive someone and still keep distance. You can forgive and still protect your heart. You can forgive and still never forget the lesson. In fact, that kind of wisdom is holy. It's not a sign of unforgiveness. It's a sign of healing. And perhaps that's the heart of it. Forgiveness doesn't erase. It transforms. It turns what the enemy meant for harm into something God can use. It takes the broken pieces and creates something new. Not the same as before, maybe not even what you wanted, but something stronger, something more honest, something sacred. So if you've been waiting for the memory to fade before you forgive, maybe you've been waiting for the wrong thing. Maybe forgiveness isn't found in forgetting, but in looking at the memory and saying, "This no longer defines me." Maybe it's found in refusing to rehearse the wound, in choosing to bless instead of curse, in handing God the last word. That kind of forgiveness, deep, real, and raw, doesn't require a blank slate. It requires a willing heart, a heart that remembers and still chooses to release. A heart that's tired of carrying the weight, a heart ready to rest. And tonight, that heart might be yours. Let God remind you. He sees it all, the memory, the wound, the ache, and still, He invites you to lay it at His feet. Not so He can erase it, but so He can redeem it. Sometimes forgiveness feels so far away, it's hard to even say the word. You want to be free, you want to move forward, but the pain feels like it's wrapped around your heart with a grip you can't loosen. And in that space, it's easy to believe that you're failing. That because you're still angry, or still hurting, or still wrestling with the same memory again and again, you must not be strong enough, or spiritual enough, or maybe just not ready. But here's the truth. Forgiveness is hard. It's messy, and when it's real, when it's honest, it often doesn't come in a moment. It comes in waves, in steps, in whispered prayers that feel too small to matter, but carry more power than you know. Lord, help me forgive. That simple sentence, that breath of surrender, is enough to move the heart of God. Sometimes the pain feels like it owns you, like it's taken up residence in your life and refuses to leave, and you wonder, how do I forgive someone who never apologized? How do I forgive when the wound changed everything? When it wasn't just a mistake, but a betrayal? When it shattered trust, altered your path, and left a part of you doubting everyone else who comes close? These aren't easy questions, and God isn't asking you to pretend they are. He's not brushing over your pain or telling you to smile through it. He's sitting with you in the middle of it, patient and tender, waiting until you're ready to take that first step. Forgiveness isn't pretending you're okay. It's not putting on a brave face and burying the pain deep down where it can fester. Forgiveness is a choice you make in the direction of healing, even while your heart still aches. It's the quiet act of saying, I won't let this control me anymore. I won't let it poison my thoughts, my relationships, or my future. And it's okay if you don't feel it yet. God works with the willing, not the perfect. If all you can offer is a weary prayer, He will meet you in that place and carry the rest. Sometimes you need to forgive the same person more than once. Sometimes you have to lay it down today, and then lay it down again tomorrow, and the next day after that. Not because your forgiveness wasn't real, but because healing is a process, and every time you choose release over resentment, you are building something in your spirit, something strong, something sacred. Forgiveness may not erase the wound, but it reclaims your power. It tells the pain, you don't get the final word. And each time you choose that, even when it's hard, Even when it hurts, heaven leans in and calls it holy. And then there are the times when the one you need to forgive is yourself. Maybe you made a decision you regret. Maybe you stayed too long or left too soon. Maybe you said something you wish you could take back. Or maybe it's not something you did, but something you didn't do, and that silence has haunted you. Self-forgiveness is often the hardest of all, because you know the full story. You've seen every thought, every motive, every flaw, and yet, even here, even now, God is not accusing you. He's not holding your past over your head. He's inviting you to let Him hold it all, your mistakes, your shame, your sorrow, and to let grace wash over it like a river. You are not beyond redemption. You never were. And forgiveness, even of yourself, is part of the healing He longs to give you. So if it's hard to forgive, that doesn't make you less. It makes you real. And if it feels impossible right now, just remember, you're not being asked to do this alone. You're being asked to take the first step. And even if that step is just saying, God, I'm willing, it's enough. Because God can do more with a whisper of willingness than we can do with a lifetime of trying on our own. Let that truth settle into you tonight. Let it quiet the lies that say you have to feel it all right away. Let it soften the edges of the hurt. You're on a journey, and God is walking every step with you. You don't have to be there yet. You just have to be here, and He will lead you from here to healing. There's a kind of grief that doesn't have a name. It's not always caused by what someone did, but by what they didn't do. It's the ache of silence, the absence of love, the emptiness left behind when someone should have shown up but didn't. And this, too, is something we often have to forgive. Not just moments of hurt, but years of unmet expectations. The childhood where comfort was missing, the friendship that never deepened, the parent who was emotionally distant, the person who could have chosen you but didn't. Sometimes what wounds us most are not the sharp, clear cuts, but the slow erosion of what could have been, the affection that was never expressed, the dreams that were never supported, the love you longed for that never found its way to you. Forgiving what never happened is one of the most tender, sacred kinds of forgiveness, because it's not about something someone did that you can point to and name. It's about what you hoped for, what you needed, what you should have received but didn't. And that can be hard to identify, hard to talk about, even hard to admit. Because how do you forgive an absence? How do you let go of something that never really existed? And yet, this kind of forgiveness matters deeply, because the space left behind by those empty places can grow heavy. We begin to carry the void. We shape our lives around it. We brace ourselves against more disappointment, more abandonment, more silence. We say we're fine. We learn to live with less. But deep down, something in us still longs for the love we were created to receive. Maybe no one ever said they were proud of you. Maybe you never felt truly seen. Maybe you've been waiting your whole life to feel chosen, and the waiting turned into bitterness, and the bitterness turned into numbness. These are the quiet wounds, the ones that don't leave visible scars, but still weigh down your soul. And God sees them all, every single one. He sees the child in you that just wanted to be held, the teenager who wanted to be understood, the adult who still wrestles with feeling like they have to earn love they should have received freely. And He is not indifferent. He is near. He's been near all along. Forgiveness in this place doesn't mean pretending it didn't matter. It means finally admitting that it did. It means being honest with God about what you lost, even if you can't quite explain it. It means placing the dream of what could have been into His hands and letting Him grieve it with you, because He does grieve it. He mourns every lost moment, every affection withheld, every kindness not shown, but He also offers you something more. He offers to fill those empty places with His love, a love that never withholds, never turns away, never arrives too late. He offers healing not by erasing your past, but by stepping into it with you. By rewriting your identity, not around what you didn't get, but around what He has always given. You are not what someone else failed to give you. You are not defined by the affection they held back or the words they never spoke. You are beloved, chosen, known. And even if those truths were never spoken over you before, they are spoken over you now, by the one whose words never return empty. So when you begin to forgive what never was, you're not saying it didn't hurt. You're saying it no longer gets to shape the rest of your story. You're saying, God, I release this. I let go of trying to get from them what they may never give. I open my hands and make room for what you want to place there. And yes, there may be tears. There may be years of built-up sadness. That's okay. Let them come. Let the walls break down. Let your soul finally say what it was never allowed to say. Because in the release, healing begins. In the surrender, new life is born. And in that sacred space, God moves in. He brings comfort. He brings truth. He brings a love that heals not only what was done, but what was missing. A love that redefines you. A love that stays. Tonight, if there is something you've been holding on to, not a wound, but a wish, not a betrayal, but a longing, bring it to God. Let Him see it. Let Him hold it. Let Him begin the slow, gentle work of replacing what was lost with the fullness of His presence, because what was missing may never be restored by those who failed to give it, but your soul can still be made whole. You are not too late. You are not too broken, and you are never beyond the reach of a God who delights in filling empty places. One breath at a time, let Him begin. One tear at a time, let it go. One prayer at a time, make peace with what never was, and trust Him to lead you into what can still be. Forgiveness does not mean you have to stay close. It doesn't mean you have to welcome someone back into your life, or trust them again, or give them the same access to your heart they once had. Sometimes the most powerful act of forgiveness is letting go and stepping away. Forgiveness and boundaries can live together. In fact, they must. Because forgiveness is a matter of the heart, but boundaries are how we protect that heart while it heals. You can forgive someone completely and still choose not to let them close again. You can release the anger, surrender the pain to God, pray blessings over their life, and still say, this relationship isn't safe for me. And that is not bitterness, that is wisdom. We often confuse forgiveness with reconciliation. We think if we truly let go, we're supposed to act like everything is okay again. But God never asks you to return to what broke you. He never asks you to make yourself smaller so others can feel comfortable. He doesn't call you to stay in places where trust is repeatedly broken and repentance never comes. Forgiveness is about setting your soul free. Reconciliation is a different journey, one that requires mutual honesty, humility, and healing. And sometimes that simply doesn't happen. That's not failure, it's reality. And God can still be glorified in the boundary. He can still work in the distance. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to step away and trust God to work in their life, even while He works on your own. Jesus forgave freely, from the cross, from the ground, from His heart. But He also walked away from people. He left towns where hearts were hard. He slipped through crowds when intentions were twisted. He didn't entrust Himself to those who weren't truly with Him. He showed us that forgiveness is not the same as access. Grace is free, but trust is earned. And when that trust has been broken, it's okay, more than okay, to be cautious. You are not less holy for drawing a boundary. You are not unforgiving because you choose distance. Sometimes the most God-honoring decision you can make is to love someone from afar. There are people in your life who may never apologize, who may never acknowledge the pain they caused, who may continue to manipulate, or lie, or make you feel like the problem. And still, you can forgive. You can release the burden of bitterness. You can choose peace, and you can also choose protection. You can choose to no longer answer the call, to no longer open the door, to no longer give emotional energy to something that continually drains you. That choice is not unkind, it's holy. It's a declaration that you value what God has placed in you, your heart, your spirit, your peace, and those things matter. They are worth guarding. Forgiveness is not passive, it's not weak. It's one of the strongest, boldest things you will ever do. But don't let anyone use it to manipulate you into staying in harmful patterns. Don't let anyone twist it into silence or shame. Forgiveness does not mean pretending. It means choosing peace without denying truth. It means saying, I can love you, I can bless you, but I no longer give you the power to continue hurting me. And that decision will not always be understood. Some people will call it cold. Some will call it unforgiving. But God sees your heart. He knows your motives. He knows the cost of what you're choosing, and He honors it. So if you're walking through a season where you need to forgive, but also protect yourself, know this: you are not alone. You are not bad. You are not disobedient. You are discerning. And God is with you in every part of that process. He can teach you to forgive without losing yourself, to show grace without abandoning your wisdom, to keep your heart soft while also keeping it guarded. He will lead you as you navigate this. And He will give you peace, not just peace in your soul, but peace in your boundaries, peace in your decisions, peace in the space between you and those who cannot come closer right now. There is grace for the distance. There is mercy in the separation. There is holiness in the quiet act of stepping back, not out of hate, but out of love. Love for truth, for peace, for growth. And sometimes, that distance becomes the soil where healing finally begins, for you, and maybe, someday, for them too. But either way, you are safe to choose both forgiveness and space. And tonight, that might be the very path your heart needs to walk. Let it be slow, let it be sacred, let it be led by the Spirit. And trust that you can forgive fully and still walk away gently, with grace in your heart and peace in your soul. Letting go doesn't always begin with some grand, emotional breakthrough. Sometimes it begins in silence, in stillness, in a quiet decision made in the secret place of your heart. A moment where you whisper to God, "I'm tired of carrying this." It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to come with tears or clarity or a full understanding of how to move forward. Sometimes the first step in letting go is simply acknowledging that you want to, that you've reached the point where the pain has worn you down enough, that the weight has become too heavy, that the anger no longer feels like strength, it just feels exhausting, that the story you've been repeating in your mind for days or weeks or even years has started to steal more than it's given, and you're ready, finally, to release it. But letting go is rarely instant. It's not a switch you flip. It's a choice you make again and again, sometimes daily, sometimes moment by moment, and that's okay. God is not looking for perfection in this process. He's not timing you, grading you, or comparing you to anyone else. He's simply inviting you to trust Him with what you can't carry anymore. He's not asking you to erase the past, just to stop letting it write the future. He's not asking you to forget what happened, just to allow Him to redeem it. And the truth is, He's more patient with your healing than you are. He's more committed to your freedom than you can imagine. Letting go often begins in prayer, not perfect prayer, not polished prayer, just real, raw conversation with the God who already knows your heart. You can speak the names out loud, the ones you've been struggling to forgive. You can speak the feelings, the anger, the confusion, the sadness. You can even tell God that you don't feel like letting go, that you don't know how. That part of you still wants to hold on. He can handle that. He honors honesty far more than performance. And when you open that space in prayer, even if it's just a whisper, you create room for healing. You create room for the Spirit to begin softening what's been hardened, loosening what's been clenched, healing what's been hidden. You don't need to have the words. You don't need to have the answers. Just breathe. Sometimes letting go starts there. A deep breath in and a slow breath out. Each breath a quiet surrender. Each breath a release. You might not notice the change right away. That's okay. Just keep choosing to bring it back to God. Keep choosing to lay it down. Keep choosing to unclench your fists and open your hands, even if they tremble. That simple act, over time, changes you. It doesn't mean you'll never feel the sting again, but it means the sting won't define you. It means the story shifts. It means you're no longer the prisoner of that moment. You're becoming the steward of your own peace. Sometimes it helps to write a letter you never send, to pour out everything you've held in, to name the ways you were hurt, to give voice to the words you never got to say. Then, once it's out, You can offer it to God, burn it, bury it, tear it up, watch as the ink fades, as the pages crumble, as the pain becomes just a little less heavy. You're not burying your truth. You're releasing your need to carry it alone. You're placing justice, vengeance, healing, and redemption into hands far more capable than yours. Forgiveness is not about pretending things didn't affect you. It's about choosing not to let them consume you anymore. And letting go is the slow return to that choice, one piece at a time. You can bless the person who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You can pray for them, not because you feel like it, but because it sets your soul free. You can ask God to work in their life, not to excuse what they did, but to release yourself from the burden of bitterness. And in that space, something shifts. The chains fall quieter. The hurt feels lighter. The night grows softer. And slowly, grace takes its place. Tonight, letting go might not look like closure. It might not come with clarity or justice. It might not come with answers, but it can come with peace. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to be willing to begin, willing to stop gripping the past so tightly, willing to give your pain to a God who knows exactly what to do with it. Letting go is not weakness, it's strength. It's a holy surrender, and it opens your life to the kind of healing only heaven can bring. So start here, in the stillness, in the breath, in the prayer. Let go of the weight. Let go of what they said. Let go of needing to be right. Let go of the fantasy of a better past. And let God hold what you cannot carry. He is strong enough. He is gentle enough. And He is with you, always, with open arms and unmatched grace. You don't have to fix everything tonight. You don't have to have every answer, every wound healed, every emotion sorted before you rest. You don't even have to feel peaceful to be held in peace. God's peace isn't something you earn. It's something He offers freely, especially to the weary. And maybe that's what you are right now, just tired. Not only physically, but emotionally, spiritually, tired of the cycle, tired of the weight, tired of trying so hard to keep everything together while something inside you still aches. There's no shame in that, no failure in needing rest. You were created to rest. And your soul was designed to find that rest, not in perfection, not in resolution, but in the presence of the one who calls Himself your refuge. God sees the weariness in you that even you can't explain, the kind that doesn't go away after a nap or a day off, the kind that lingers under the surface, whispering questions in the quiet, pulling at your strength, asking when the healing will finally come. And tonight, He isn't asking you to have it all sorted out. He's simply inviting you to lay it down, just for now, just long enough to breathe again, long enough to feel what it's like to be still and know that He is God, not just in the universe, but in your life, in your heart, in this very moment, in this very bed. You don't need to pretend with Him. You don't need to pray perfect words or come with a pure, unshaken faith. You can come with your doubts, your fatigue, your messy emotions, and your half-spoken prayers. He receives all of it, because His love is not conditional. His peace is not reserved for those who have it all together. His rest is for the weary. And that means it's for you, right now, just as you are. There's something beautiful that happens when we stop striving and simply surrender, when we stop trying to fix what only God can heal. That's when peace begins to unfold, not as a result of effort, but as a gift. A quiet, holy hush over the chaos inside, a divine whisper that says, "You're safe here, you're seen, you're loved," even if the pain hasn't left, even if the forgiveness isn't complete, even if the past still lingers in the corners of your mind, you are still being held, you are still wrapped in grace. Maybe you've been waiting for a moment when everything finally feels right before you allow yourself to rest. Maybe you've been thinking that only after you fully forgive, only after you fully heal, only after you fully understand, then you'll be allowed to breathe. But God doesn't ask you to wait. He says, "Come now, just as you are. Bring your unfinished heart, your tired body, your cluttered mind. Lay it all down and let me carry you." You were not designed to carry the burden of the world on your shoulders. You were never meant to hold on to every wrong, every regret, every fear. You were made to hand those things to your Heavenly Father, the one who never sleeps, who never grows tired, who never leaves your side. Tonight, you can rest because He doesn't. You can sleep because He stays awake, watching over you, protecting you, loving you with a love that has no end, no condition, no pause. And even if sleep doesn't come easily, rest is still possible. Rest for your soul, rest for your thoughts, rest in knowing that nothing depends on your performance. Everything depends on His grace, His goodness, His promise to finish the work He started in you. Even now, He's working, quietly, patiently, faithfully, healing what you can't see, restoring what you thought was lost, making a way even where there seems to be none. So breathe slowly. Let the tension melt from your shoulders. Let your heart stop racing. Let your mind stop rehearsing the things you wish had gone differently. There's nothing more you need to do tonight. Just be still, be safe, be held. God is here, and you, beloved one, are allowed to rest. Father, I come to you tonight not with eloquent words, not with a polished heart, but with a soul that longs for release. I come carrying things I was never meant to carry: memories, mistakes, bitterness, regret, disappointment, confusion, sorrow. I bring you the weight I've tried to hold on my own, the pain I've hidden even from myself, the burden of a heart too full of things I can't fix. And I lay it all before you now, not because I know how to let go perfectly, not because I've figured out how to forgive completely, but because I believe you are the only one strong enough to take what I cannot carry. You are the only one gentle enough to hold my heart as it breaks, and powerful enough to heal what I thought was beyond repair. Tonight, I release the pain I've rehearsed for too long. I release the words spoken in anger that still echo through my mind. I release the silence that wounded just as deeply. I release the betrayal, the absence, the sharp edges of unmet expectations. I let go of the need for an apology. I let go of waiting for someone to make it right. I let go of the story I've told myself over and over again, that I am only safe if I hold on to my anger, that I am only strong if I remember the hurt, that justice will never come if I release the grip on my pain. Lord, help me to believe something better. Help me to trust you with the things I don't understand. Help me to surrender the need to control the outcome, and instead, rest in the truth that you are already working in ways I cannot see. God, I ask you to take these heavy things. I give you the fear that forgiveness means forgetting. I give you the lie that letting go means losing. I give you the pain that says I'll never be okay unless I hold on to the past. I don't want these things anymore. I don't want to wake up with a tight chest and a guarded heart. I don't want to keep walls up between me and joy, between me and love, between me and peace. I want to be free. I want to be light again. I want to laugh without remembering the things that once stole my smile. I want to love without fear. I want to sleep without bitterness. I want to breathe deeply again, not with a heart full of tension, but with a spirit full of grace. Father, for the person who hurt me, I release them to you. I don't need to carry their choices anymore. I don't need to make sense of their reasons. I don't need to hold on to what they should have done or said. I give all of that to you. If you call me to pray for them, I will pray. If you call me to bless them, I will bless. Not because they deserve it, but because I want to be free. I want to walk in the kind of love that refuses to be poisoned by bitterness. I want to follow you fully, unchained by resentment, untangled from the past. Let your love be greater in me than the pain that once defined me. And Father, if the one I need to forgive is myself, then let your mercy meet me here too. For every wrong I cannot undo, for every word I regret, for every path I wish I had taken, for every time I fell short, cover it in grace. I cannot go back, but I can go forward. And I choose to walk forward with you. I choose to believe that your forgiveness is real, that your cross was enough, that you see my heart not as damaged, but as redeemed. Teach me to see myself through your eyes, beloved, forgiven, made new. God, breathe your peace over me now. Let your presence settle over this room like a blanket of comfort. Let my heart grow quiet in your nearness. I don't need to strive anymore. I don't need to fix anything tonight. I just need to rest in you. I open every door of my heart and invite you in to the deep places, the hidden places, the places I've been too afraid to face. Shine your light there. Bring your healing there. Let your truth rewrite the story. Let your mercy rewrite the ending. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for walking with me through every step of this journey. Thank you for never rushing my healing and never turning away from my mess. Thank you for understanding what no one else sees. You are the safest place for my soul, and I trust you tonight. I trust you with the people I've forgiven. I trust you with the spaces still healing. I trust you with the future I cannot yet see. I trust you with everything. Now I let go, not because I'm strong enough, but because you are. I place my heart in your hands and ask you to carry what I cannot. Hold me through this night. Speak peace into every restless place. And when I wake, let it be with a lighter heart, a quieter mind, and a deeper trust in your unfailing love. Amen.